Fraser, Marcus here asked me to present a little bit about the status of the packaging market, what is holding it back, and about the opportunities. So I try to combine it both, looking at the status of inkjet, digital printing in packaging, label and packaging, and what would be a nice opportunity. And I believe there is one very nice opportunity, which is online printing. So yes, analyst, I used to be with Infotrends, Keypoint Intelligence for almost 20 years. I'm now freelance at digitalprintexpert.de, which pretty much says it all. So my focus is on digital printing. I also write for different publications. So inkjet in label and packaging, it should be a no-brainer because it ticks all the boxes where the markets are moving. We heard it before today. So probably most important is shorter runs. You can do a lot with shorter runs. De-risk, be more flexible, be more agile, reduce the time to market as well. Other things are getting more important, versioning, environmental issues, and adding variable data in one go. We heard it all. So the big question is, why is it not being used more frequently? So one thing is, well, to print digitally, you need digital printers. In label and packaging, and in label, I would say, yes, they are there. So I did a quick exercise in going through my list of available actual label digital printing presses, just looking by the main product line. So this is not every model in every width in every type of ink system and so on. So it's about 25 models shipping, a few announced in beta. So you don't need a lot of runway nowadays. So that line sounds shorter, that list of upcoming presses, than it actually should be. But there's no point in announcing a new label presses 2 years ahead because there's so many there already. And there are lots of smaller desktop type of presses, which can be quite nice, like the Toblerone, that's an Oki printer, which is normally a desktop printer, but it still does packaging printing, not label, but folding carton here. So there are also lots of smaller presses there as well. And a huge mix of liquid, electrophotographic, dry toner E and inkjet presses. If you look at the other sides, it's a lot less. Folding carton, it could have been 3, now it's only 2 available models out there at the moment. Flex pack, 2 models, corrugated, a bit more. And you can see there's already, more presses announced or in beta than actually available on the market. So there is quite a lot of movements, but it is also a slow movement here. Well, obviously, as an analyst, I need to show some charts. So I asked my friends at IT Strategies to give me some market overview data. All the numbers are always a little bit different, so different types of assumptions, different ways of looking at the market. And that is dissecting their data into for the main segments into the different portions of analog, toner-based, and inkjet-based. And actually, even I was a little bit surprised that the numbers are not bigger, but the main segments where we have digital penetration, it's only about 3% in label printing. And that's by surface printed. It's not revenue, it's volume, pure area printed. And in the other areas, it is very, very little. So the good news is the opportunities are big. But the bad news is it's not that much happening there. So if you're selling systems, if you're selling inks, toner, components, there could be more. There are some growth rates. I'm not going to discuss them. I think they're quite credible. Usually they are much higher in inkjet and in EP, but for both areas there is a good growth rate predicted here. Obviously less in label, a lot more in the other segments because there is a lot less happening today. Now Mark did ask that kind of nasty questions. How does it compare to previous forecasts? Since I didn't have the IT Strategies forecast from like 5 years ago at hand, I compared it to some Smithers Pyra numbers. And it's different set of data. It's comparing apples and pears to some extent. But their forecast for the digital share in 2022, 5 years ago, gives a lot higher numbers than which I believe we're going to reach at the end of this year. So it's not comparable. And obviously there is that kind of COVID-19 effect, which delayed everything. You can't get parts, you can't ship machines. Companies are more conservative. They don't try new technology when the market situation is difficult anyway. So that caused some holdback. But bottom line is not as much as we predicted. And I did forecast in the past as well. It would have been pretty much the same picture here. But directionally, definitely all right. And I still believe that the growth rates are also in a very credible range. So low uptake, why? In some cases, it's definitely the lack of models available. Label printing, yes, there's a lot of models there. Probably still not in the real productivity range where it really makes a difference in the total volume when using them. So these hybrid presses, which are now being sold by Bobst, the latest Gallows model, and Canon, and all these, they're just about now coming into the market with a desktop printer. You can't really make an impact into the flexo and offset market. A big thing is substrate complexity. So it's not just making a press work on a certain substrate, it's making it work on lots of different substrates. And that is also like aiming on a moving target. Because now we do have more sustainable issues, moving to fiber-based packages in all areas, to monomaterials, to different finishes, and so on. So talking to some of the manufacturers, they're saying, well, every time I talk to my beta customers, he's coming up with a new material and a new method of that, and he's asking me always, can we try this, can we do this, can we do this? And yeah, it can be frustrating, definitely. But the bad news is it's not going to go away. If you have a conventional press and somebody comes with a new material, it's not working, then it's the fault of the material. If somebody is coming with a new material on an inkjet press and it's not working, it's the fault of the inkjet press. That will be the challenge, and it's not going to go away. And obviously there's the productivity gap. I mentioned it a little bit. With a desktop printer, you can't really make an impact on high volumes, so there need to be more high volume, high speed solutions in digital printing there as well. We are moving there, but it's a lot of work. Finishing and embellishment, it's also a big issue. We talked about that. It's just not that easy to do in digital or to marry an analog finishing or analog embellishment process with a digital press. But there's more to it. There's also lack of short-run business models because also the printing companies are not set up to do these short runs. So they might like the idea in that, and then probably also customers are asking that, but they still have huge overheads. They can't do jobs, high number of small jobs in a very efficient way, so it's just not working. And they're also expecting it's like the old quip from Henry Ford that when he asks his customers what they want is a faster horse. They also want to have an analog press, which might be digital, but works the same way as an analog press, only faster changeover and that. But it's just not going to happen. So it's a mixture of technical issues and business model issues. And I would even say the business model issues are the more challenging ones. So everybody here is working on the technical issues, very important, but I think the biggest problem is really the different expectations on business models and the business outlook. There is, however, a segment where the technical issues don't count that much. And that's online printing. We've seen that before. Online printers have been very successful by reducing the choice of what you're having, not all kind of materials, by offering good quality, not a staggering quality, not all the frills, but it worked for them. And that has been a big success models in commercial print, but Nowadays also printing companies like everywhere are also looking into packaging printing as the one safe printing application, the one growing printing application. And you're also seeing that kind of mismatch, that kind of opportunity that digital printing, online ordering of short-run packaging printing is offering. So that's some quotes from the Global Trends Report, Drupa Global Trends Report. And I found it really interesting in reading that report that there were quite a number of these quotes cited of different companies having that same idea, having that same target. So I found that really remarkable. To give you some example on how fast that online printing market is moving, that's data from Germany. That's probably one of the most advanced markets in online printing. Data from Zipcon, and they show that the classic order print going down, obviously because the total commercial market is declining. But the online generated print is still a growth market, and that's soon going to overtake the conventionally ordered print. Could the same be happening in packaging printing? And I think so. Definitely doing some research recently on, for example, corrugated boxes, and you see the opportunities there. Short-run printed boxes, 81 euros for 25 boxes might not be a steal, but I mean, you get 25 individually printed boxes, full color, 80 euros. If you have a business, small business, why not go for it? Would you be able to do that for in traditional print, like flexo printing? It's you pay $1,100 for plates already, and you only get 2 panels in 2 colors, and there's 100 boxes minimum. So definitely, there's a huge opportunity, but it is still a very much emerging market here, ordering labels and packaging via an online interface and building up that market infrastructure. It is slowly happening, and I do have some examples of companies moving into that direction or already being there. In general, I would say there are 3 different types of companies offering online label and packaging printing. The ones which are already online printers, huge companies. As you've seen in Germany, they are almost making up half of the commercial printing market. So those are big companies, some smaller companies. Then there are companies which started maybe in commercial, maybe as a copy shop or in different areas, and now they are refocusing, reinventing themselves as a packaging online printing company. And obviously there are the new startups. One example, Vista Print, PixArt, which is part of Vista Print Simpress. That's a typical company starting out in commercial printing with a bit of design and so on. And now they are massively moving into packaging printing, and you can already see a huge area. I wasn't able to put everything here on one slide what they're offering in digital packaging printing. I'm sure that they're not doing that everything themselves, because what happens frequently in online printing, there is a network of companies and you hand jobs to some other, to a subsidy or to a partner company who is doing that. But it shows that they're definitely massively moving into packaging printing, and you can also see some of the things. The sooner you need your boxes, your packages, the more expensive they are, and then also the cost per piece is noticeably higher the less you order, but still it's somewhat affordable. And if you don't have a choice to pack something, then it's obviously a price to pay. Then you pay 3 euros per sheet, per printed sheet. For a printing company, it's nice, 3 euros a sheet. There are other companies there as well, like the ones I said refocusing on online printing, and one company I recently spoke to, which I really like because they focus on beekeeping. All kind of products around honey and beekeeping and so on. That's because the founder of the company is also a hobby beekeeper, and They started as a normal reprographic printing company, a letter shop, and they decided, well, our business is going away, we need to reinvent ourselves. They decided we are going to be an online label printer, and being the best in that area, doing a lot within the community, advertising in that community, providing templates for your pots of honey. And so starting in 2018 with 0 customers, now they have more than 2,500, doing lots of different products and creating their revenue from there. So that is completely a company reinventing there and using the opportunities of online print. And nobody asked there, is my digital press as good as a conventional digital press, because they started new and their customers are accepting the quality and the delivery terms, so working quite well for them. And finally, a company you probably have heard of, probably the most well-known startup in online packaging printing, Epec. Only a few years old, but they already, oops, that was the wrong button, but already 25 locations and growing, and more than 100 HP large format presses ordered. So I'm not totally sure how many of them have been installed, but that's at least the number they ordered. They even have some of the smaller ones, but you can assume that every site has 2 or 3 presses, so a number of these are already there. They're not a public company, so the latest somewhat confirmed revenue number is 100 million, but I heard they had even 200 million of revenue last year, so that's quickly growing. And they're fully focusing on digital printing. Not inkjet, liquid electrophotography, but it does work for them. They build a business model out of that and are growing really quite rapidly. So the question is, what is an online printer in the end? There is no official statistics on online printing companies out there. So if you look at Eurostat or what is now the UK Office of Statistics, now you need to look up both. There is no category for that. And in the end, it is definitely not about the printing technology. Both companies, all types of companies can have the same printing presses, the same finishing. It's also not about having a website or a web submission tool. All serious companies now have web submission tools and their website. It's really about the mindset. It is feeling like an online printing company, trying to move to that kind of business model, more standardized, more short runs, being able to do that, and not trying to fill capacity with short runs, but building that capacity and expanding the capacity. So not waiting until the first press is full with jobs, but already is trying to order the next press and improving on the next press when the business is still in a ramp-up position. Okay, not all of these companies will make it in the end. It's a race, so but it's part of the mindset, it's part of that kind of type of successful companies. Because what we've seen is that the baseline, that is the small customers. That's the people ordering like 25 boxes or 100 business cards and so on. So I know that Robert Keane from Vista Print, years ago, they said to other printing companies, we serve the customers you don't want to serve. And he was absolutely right, because no printing companies like 15 years ago, they wanted to serve customers ordering 100 business cards. Well, they could, but it was just a pain. So they opened up printing to a new range of customers, micro businesses, B2C, business cards, greeting cards, and so on. So it opened up a real new business, but that's not going to be the end. And everybody in online printing is eyeing on that. So getting the baseline with small customers, but then moving into the big tickets, the big buyers. And that will be even more so for packaging printing, because a lot of that is driven by the big brands and so on. There are more and more small brands. No question about that, but the real demand is then in the end coming from the big buyers. But the infrastructure is already there to serve them in a different way and do this a lot more efficiently. And the big point is it's not about printing, it's about the user experience. So it's not about taking out your loop and checking the box and checking the print. It's about how quickly do I, or how easy, how comfortable is it to open a website, select the product, find the right product, tick some boxes, making the order, tracking my order, getting the payment done, and all that. So it's the whole experience, and not just about the print. And obviously, it's also not about digital print packaging. It's not about digital printing, sorry, it's about the whole experience. So, and I guess I have to skip the last slide because I took it out before anyway, because I thought I'm going to run out of time. So that was it in a nutshell. If you have more questions, please talk to me. If you have new technologies I should be writing about, talk to me as well. And I hope we can catch up during the dinner today.
Thank you, Ralf. Thank you.